Hello, welcome to today's edition of Pegasus Test. On today's edition, we're going to review the Viridian Xtl with camera and light. So what we have before us today is the Viridian Xtl combination light and camera mounted to a Gen 1 Polymer 80. Now, the reason I mounted this directly to this Polymer 80, this is the same gun I used out at Desert Brutality earlier this year, and I did it with a TLR1 mounted. Okay, how's that relevant to this? Well, Viridian says in their literature that the XTL with camera is in the same envelope size as the TLR1, and it should be compatible with most holsters that are TLR1 compatible. For the sake of apples to apples comparison, here's another Gen 1 Polymer 80 with a TLR1 mounted. So you can see that in fact they're pretty close to the same envelope size. So, and it has been my experience that in fact the two lights are compatible with the same holsters. And later on in this video we'll show you some use of the XTL using a holster that is TLR1 compatible. Matter of fact, it's going to be the Blackhawk EPOCH holster for the TLR1, and if you're interested in that, you can see our review of the EPOCH holster below where we're using it with the Polymer 80 Gen 1 and TLR1 mounted. Now, while they may use the same envelope and holsters, the similarity between the XTL with camera and the TLR1 end pretty much at that point. For example, this is an original TLR1 you see mounted on the OD green Polymer 80 below, and it has 300 lumens. The XTL with camera mounted on the Polymer 1 at the top of the frame is 500 lumens. So there you are, 40% more light out of the same size envelope. Now, to be fair, the current TLR1s, they do have a high volume 800 lumen version, so that puts the XTL right in the middle between your two versions of TLR1. Here you have video of the TLR1. It's putting out 300 lumens. Now you have the XTL camera at 500. Here you have the XTL with camera in strobe mode at 500 lumens. Now here is the 500 lumen light mounted of the XTL camera on the Polymer 80 Gen 1 frame. This is in its bright setting. This is its strobe setting. Now, if you look down the business end of these firearms, you start to see the true differences between these lights. On the right, you have the TLR1, which has its big wide lens and throws out a wide cone of light. On the left, you have the XTL, and you'll notice there are two lenses. On the right side of the XTL, as you're looking at it from this angle, is the light. Puts out 500 lumens, and it does as it's advertised. On the left, you have a 1080p camera, and in the middle of the two, hard to see in the video, we'll try to zoom in here so you can see a little bit better. You see a small hole, that's your microphone. And as you will see from clips that we're going to include later in the video, the microphone is actually fairly effective. Flipping the guns back onto their opposite side of what we showed earlier, now you start to notice more difference between these two lights, even though they occupy the same envelope. The first differences that you're going to notice are the mounting. The TLR1 mounts by a screw, and it's easy to detach because it's a captive screw that then acts as a clamp to come off the gun, and you can do it by hand. The XTL, as you see, has nothing on this side. Its attachment point is a simple flathead screw on the opposite side. Mounting this to your handgun and removing it is a pain in the butt. It's nowhere as easy to do as a TLR1. Another difference that you will notice is the activation of the light. If I want to activate a TLR1, I can turn it into constant mode by flipping that rear lever up, or I can use it in a momentary on and off situation by pushing the lever down with my support hand, if my support hand was on the left. On the XTL, to activate the light, I have to press this button here, and it's either on or it's off. There's nothing in between. Now, a light touch will momentarily, a firm touch will put it on. Firm touch turns it off, light touch, momentary on and off. Now if I want to activate the XTL with camera after the draw stroke, all I have to do is reach forward with my thumb and hit the switch, and you can see the light is on. Turn it off, hit it again, momentary on, just hit the switch momentarily. In comparison here we have the TLR1. If I want to activate the light, I push down with my thumb for momentary on, push up from my thumb for continuous on. And I can just turn it off by returning the switch to the middle position, which it wants to go to naturally. Basically what this means with these different types of switches between the two lights is that Viridian has configured this light to be a part of their instant on system with their holster. If you're not using their instant on holster with this light, you're accepting the disadvantage that you're getting. And that disadvantage is, if you look here, is this small button. My fingertip covers it. My thumb dwarfs it. It's not a big button, and it's not as easy to manipulate if it was a lever like on the TLR1. I hit it, engage my targets, and hit it again. Now another difference between these lights is you probably see it on the camera that the lights on the the XTL are blinking on the bottom. Let's look at those in detail. Those blinking lights on the bottom of the XTL are telling us two things. One, they're telling us the power, and the other one tells us our video status. They're both blinking green. So on this light I have plenty of power and I have plenty of space. And just so you know, the space you have on this is 32 gigabytes, so plenty of space. We're going to go over the details, the operating modes, a little later here in the video, but this is the first major difference between the two. Your second major difference between these lights is the power source. Now your TLR1 operates on two CR123 batteries. And if you were to take the light off, you flip down the hatch here, and that's how you get access to your batteries. Here on the XTL, it's completely different. Your access to the batteries comes by these two clamps, and it drops the battery pack out. This light does not work on the CR123 disposable batteries. It's rechargeable. If you note between the two blinking lights, you will see a little trap door. Zoom in a little. That's where you plug in a USB cable. That cable is what allows you to A, charge the light, and B, extract the information that you've saved from your video. Now at first you're probably like, oh my god, I've got to recharge my gun by plugging it in. It's not quite that bad. You can buy extra battery packs and chargers so you can just swap battery packs out. Not exactly the same as just changing the 123 batteries in your TLR1, but it can be at an extra cost. Now, since the Viridian XTL with camera uses a rechargeable battery that you recharge through either switching out battery packs and placing them on a separate charger, or using the cord that comes with the camera to plug it into your computer or any other USB device to recharge the battery, a question that comes up, and rightly so, is what is your battery life? Now, according to Viridian's manuals, if you leave this thing in strobe mode constantly on, you'll get 3/4 of an hour. If you use it in the flashlight mode, you'll get about an hour. Now, flipping the guns over shows that the operating controls are ambidextrous. So if you're a left-handed shooter, for example, you can use your right support hand to turn the TLR1 on permanently, or push up and have momentary activation. Same with the XTL. I can give it a hard press by the button here on the other side of the light. That's exactly the opposite of the one on the right side shown earlier. And the light comes on. Press again, it comes off. I want momentary. I have momentary. So as you can see, the lights, both of these lights, are completely ambidextrous. Here I have the TLR1 mounted on a Polymer 80 Gen 1 frame. And now let's say I want to take this TLR1 off, put it on a different pistol, or even put it on a carbine or shotgun, which the light's capable of being mounted to. And all I have to do, flip it over and loosen this screw right here, just so everybody can see. This one is a little tight mounted, get it off there. And I unscrew all the way. At that point, it's still attached. I press in and it activates a clamp on the other side, as you see here, and off comes the light. So that's all I have to do to return this pistol to its normal configuration and take that light and either put it on another handgun or transfer it to a long arm. Now here I have the XTL with camera mounted on another Polymer 80 Gen 1. So we're keeping apples to apples comparisons here. That's why I'm using two of the same pistols. And the next problem we have, I want to take this off and use it on another pistol. It's not really great for using on a carbine. We'll go into that later. My troubles are now a little bit more difficult because there's just right here a mounting screw. It's a flathead slot screw, which is nice. It leaves a lot of field expedient ways to take it off the handgun, but the point of it is you're not going to take this off easily. So if you do not have an extra battery pack, what you have to do is plug your whole gun into your computer. So you can have the cord going into the charging port right here and then download your pictures and let your light charge. Now so far, since I've had this light, a charge seems to last a long time. And the camera, when you're using it in camera only without the light, seems to draw almost no power, which is a good thing. But just be advised, this is not a light that you're going to stick into your bedside and then, oh wow, it's getting dim, oh wow, it's not working, I'll just replace the batteries. No, you're going to have to think about checking the charge and plugging it in from time to time. Now, the nice thing about that is, I turn on the light and it activates, and you see these system lights here. And they're telling me that I'm recording and they're telling me that my power. Notice they're both green. When things start to get down and I've used about a third of it up, it's going to go to amber. And that'll tell me that, hey, of your 32 gigs, you've used up about a third, you're in your middle third, and it's the same with the power. Now, when you've used up to that, you get to red. That means you're running out of camera space and you are running out of power. Now, the nice thing about downloading the photos for this is that it will download like you will from any other digital camera device. You plug it in your computer, you extract the photos, and you can do whatever you want with them on your computer, and it's very easy to clear the memory out at that point and restore all your gigabytes. So you have the nice thing is you're not worrying about having an extra SD card or mini SD card for something this size. It's built-in memory, and that's one less thing to worry about. You don't have to worry, wow, I've lost my mini SD card adapter. It's just you plug it in, you download the photos, and off you go. Now, another thing about this. If you notice here, I've deactivated it, and it's stopped. You have to use these tiny little switches that are covered by my finger here, if you see. My finger's covering the switch, so under duress, that's a little harder to hit than it is that flipper switch that's on the TLR1, or like the flip switch on Blackhawk Xiphos Lite, for example. So this is designed by Viridian to use their instant on technology. What is instant on technology? They make a series of holsters that by the mere fact of drawing the handgun, it turns on your light, and by de facto with this light, it turns on the camera as well. And when you reholster, it turns them off. If you're using regular TLR1 compatible holsters by makers other than Viridian, you do not get to use the instant on feature. So that's one thing you have to bear in mind. Now, in some of the videos you'll see where we tested, it was just simple. We put it in camera only mode because we were in daylight, and we just turned the camera on, holstered up, and then went through our cycle of training. The camera in camera only mode, once you turn it on, will remain on for 3 minutes without you touching the camera again. You can still get all your training value out of it. You just have to be aware of your time cycles. And if you're doing a series of drills, just remember part of your preparation from your drill is activate your camera. And later on, when you're reviewing your video, edit out the part where it's just sitting in the holster and collecting a blank screen. That being said, there's some value to that too. The microphone here on the front, this little hole between the lenses of the light and the camera, is actually pretty powerful. And we found that with the gun in the holster, it had no problem picking up conversations. And you could clearly understand what people were saying. You could hear the range commands being called out and all that good stuff. Now the camera itself is clearly designed for close engagements. You'll see in some of the videos here that we're shooting the guerrilla tactics competency target and the dot torture target, and we were doing them at 3 yards range, 9 feet, 10 feet roughly, and it looks pretty far away. You have trouble picking out the individual bullet holes at that distance. So there comes a limitation with this camera. If you think you're going to use this and record your 25-yard pistol shots, it's probably not going to happen.
5, slow fire on 1. Stand by. Go.
You ready? One on each small. Ready? Ready? Go. I know, but I shoot better with one
Support hand only, empty chamber, rack to slide, support hand only, fire 4 shots.
body, one to the head.
Ready. Go. So at this point you may be wondering, what is the advantage of having a light and camera combo, especially when cost is factored in? MSRP on this light and camera combo right here is $399 on the Viridian website. Your standard TLR1 is well under $200. Matter of fact, they're usually just over $100 in most places you can find them. So you're paying way over double to get this light. Where's your advantage for that price? Well, one, more lumens over the standard TLR1, yet not as many lumens as the HD version of the TLR1, but the camera is where it comes in. You get to record what you're doing with your pistol from your pistol point of view. In training, it's a good thing. You can see where you're flinching or anticipating or pulling the pistol one way or the other. It does come through in the video. Also, you can pick up audio of what's going around you. If you have to use this in a personal defense situation, you have proof of what you did or did not do, and you'll have the audio of it as well. So it can prove what you said or didn't say, what your gun was doing during the engagement, what your point of view was to the threat, and other such things. Also, it's a training asset. It shows you what you're doing in your training. You can go back and review your video later. Now, being that this is a high dollar item, is it worth it? Well, like so many times I say, that's up to you. If you're saying to yourself, no, I don't need a camera mounted to my pistol, no, it's probably not worth it to you, to be honest. If you're saying to yourself, yeah, I can see the camera being a useful asset, then yeah, this is a good choice. It's a very low profile unit. You're getting good power on your light, and it's TLR envelope compatible. So if the instant on technology of Viridian is not that important to you, and that you just want to use it where you can control when the light goes on and off, then you have a wider series of holster options available to you. If you like to, like I do, use the Blackhawk EPOCH, great. But overall, if you're using a TLR compatible holster for a TLR1 you already have, then yeah, this is an option that gives you the ability to upgrade your equipment without having to buy new holsters. And that's not an insignificant consideration. Most holsters you buy that are light compatible, you're paying north of $100 for. That's a consideration. You know, you can't say that it's not. But if a camera is something you think you need, this is a good choice. It comes in 1080p, so it's high def, so the quality, as you can see in the videos we've been showing in this video, that it gives a good quality video. We hope you found this video helpful and informative. Please comment, like, and subscribe, and tune in for future weapons mounted light videos.